and we'll be talking a bit about some techniques on the clarinet today. Actually, one technique in particular, articulation. It's how we begin a sentence, so to speak, and it's how we punctuate as we're playing. The same way you would use commas, semicolons, periods, exclamation points, capital letters. It's important for the clarity of what we're doing as we play. A big mistake that a lot of players make is in equating articulation, stopping the sound of a note, let's say, with stopping the air. And it's very important that we work and practice so that we are articulating and punctuating what we do while keeping our air flow moving. That keeps our sound quality consistent and even as we play. In our last segment, we talked about legato, which was playing with a consistent stream of air and not breaking between the notes. But now we very much want to break between the notes, and that creates articulation. So the first thing to do is think about how we start a note. The note should begin with the tongue releasing the reed and allowing it to vibrate. So we don't speak about articulation in terms of attack. You'll sometimes hear people say that oh, that was a very nice attack that you had. But first of all, that sounds a little, I don't know, violent. We're not attacking any notes. We are simply allowing the instrument to begin to make sound. So rather than attack, we have our air ready to go and poised. We've taken a nice deep breath. Our tongue is pressing the reed against the tip of the mouthpiece, which completely stops it from being able to make a sound. And all we do is release the tongue, the air is ready to go, and it immediately flows through the instrument, and we have sound. If I don't want to stop and breathe between each note, a nice exercise, not necessarily to be used all the time in practice when we're performing, but in practice in our home studios when we're just doing our work for ourselves, a good exercise is to start the note and stop the note with the tongue, keeping the air moving constantly so that it just gets interrupted by the tongue. I never interrupted my flow of air in my lungs or with my diaphragm. Everything just stopped when the reed stopped vibrating. An exercise I like to do shortens the length of the notes until I'm very, very, very short, and practicing a very bright, pointed staccato. The air going, you get a little bit out of breath, a little winded because you never stop and you don't take a breath. But it keeps pressure behind your tongue all the time. So as soon as your tongue releases the reed, your sound is there, and it sounds just the way you want it to. It's in tune, and you never have to question whether the note's going to speak. That's an exercise you do throughout the range of the instrument. Now the tongue has to be in the proper position, which means it needs to be approaching the reed from above. And the tip of your tongue needs to be touching the tip of the reed. And only the tip of your tongue needs to be moving. If you're using the correct embouchure and the tongue stays high in the back of the throat, your tongue is pointed like this already. If your embouchure is such that your throat drops, your tongue drops, and it's flat in the back, you're going to have a lot of work to do to get your tongue to articulate correctly. So this is why in our first segment we talked about embouchure and the importance of keeping your tongue high so that you have that motion. It allows a lot more flexibility in what your muscle can do and lets those notes speak perfectly every time. So that's all we have for articulation. I hope you'll join us as we continue on this trip through the clarinet. Thank you very much.